Greetings and welcome to the Tuesday, February the 11th, 2025 edition of Denison Forum's Daily Article Podcast. I'm Chris Elkins, narrating today's daily article written by our co-founder, CEO, and good friend, Dr. Jim Denison. President Trump is forming a task force led by Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate the, quote, targeting of Christians. The task force will be directed to immediately halt all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within the federal government. He has also signed an executive order establishing a White House faith office to assist faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship in their efforts to strengthen American families, promote work and self-sufficiency, and protect religious liberty, end quote. President George W. Bush similarly established the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partners in 2001. President Barack Obama continued but renamed the office in 2009. A White House initiative to encourage faith-based efforts as they seek to strengthen our nation is both a good idea and a bad idea. The implication of both extend far beyond Washington and touch every soul in America today. Carson Holloway is a political science professor at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. In a fascinating, in-depth article for the Heritage Foundation, he described the crucial role of religion in creating and sustaining America's democracy. He frames his argument through the insights of French political philosopher Alexis de Tocqueville's monumental study, Democracy in America. According to Tocqueville, political freedom requires a moral foundation that only Christianity could supply with its claim that humans are equal before God. Such equality rejects rule by kings or autocrats, calling instead for self-rule that requires democracy. He noted that the Puritans, with their self-governing churches, as opposed to European churches governed by the state or the crown, further reinforced America's impetus towards self-government. And Tocqueville recognized that democracy's inherent tendency to foster individualism, materialism, and democratic despotism requires the restraining moral impulses of Christian morality. According to Holloway, Tocqueville noted, quote, popular self-rule, government by the people, is not the ordinary tendency of things, but instead a rare high achievement. Most societies in history have not attained it. The Americans were able to achieve and sustain it because of their virtuous habits of public-spirited attention to the affairs of the community, and their religion was necessary to sustain those virtues and therefore necessary to America's claim to political greatness. You can see why a governmental effort to, quote, faith-based entities as they strengthen our nation logically serves the cause of democracy. Here's the first problem to beware. It is the witness of history that when the church relies on the state, the church becomes weaker and more controlled by the state. To make my point, you need only visit the great cathedrals of Europe, most built by churches with funds provided by their state sponsors, most now virtually empty on Sunday. I have attended worship services in the UK where the choir outnumbered the congregation. When churches do not need to grow institutionally by reaching people with transformative messages and relevant ministries, many will not do the hard work of crafting and sharing such messages and ministries. They will inevitably measure success by the opinions of their current members rather than by their impact on the lost and the larger society, keeping their, quote, salt in the salt shaker and their light under the basket, as noted in Matthew 5, verses 13 through 16. This is not to say that governmental efforts to protect religious followers from discrimination are unwelcome or that the church and state can never partner effectively. But it is to say that the church must never become dependent on the state or lose its focus on the lost. Jesus founded the church for the purpose of attacking the gates of hell, as we read in Matthew 16, verse 18. When we're not doing so, we're not the church. We can be a religion, an institution, or an organization, but we are only the church when we are taking Christ into the world. William Temple was right. The church is the only organization that exists primarily for the benefit of those who are not its members. The first challenge leads to the second. Christianity can best serve democracy not as a religion, but as a relationship. Tocqueville was right in principle. The theological assertion that people are equal before God, along with self-governing churches and the guidance of biblical morality, have been vital to the development of American democracy. But Christianity as a religion is not enough. Its ultimate purpose is to lead people into a transforming personal relationship with Christ. Theological assertions, church attendance, and biblical teachings are means, not ends. Job 5, verse 7, man is born to trouble as the sparks fly upward. If we're honest, we must all say with David in Psalm 38, verse 4, my iniquities have gone over my head like a heavy burden, they are too heavy for me. Paul confessed in Romans 7, verses 18 and 19, I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. I'm glad he wrote these words, since they assure me that I'm not alone when I struggle spiritually. At the same time, I'm sorry he wrote them. If even the great apostle faced such struggles, what hope do I have? Just this, according to 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Freedom from self and freedom from sin. When we turn to the Spirit, asking Him to control and empower us as instructed in Ephesians 5:18, and worshiping the living Lord as the Spirit leads us, then, as 2 Corinthians 3:18 states, we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Think of it. You and I can be transformed into the image and character of Christ Himself, as referenced in Romans 8, verse 29. Not by a religion about Jesus, but by an intimate relationship with Him. And when we are like Jesus, we cannot help impacting our nation for God's glory and the greater good. And as asserted by Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39, we cannot help loving our Lord and our neighbor in ways that lead our neighbor to love our Lord. So, for the sake of our nation and your soul, may I ask you, are you more like Christ today than you were yesterday? If not, why not? When was the last time the season of Lent truly changed you? It's easy to let this sacred season slip by as just Lent as usual. Another tradition, another box checked. But what if this year could be different? That's why Dr. Denison wants to send you a resource to make this Lent unforgettable. To say thanks for your gift of $30 or more, we'll send you your choice of one of his Lenten devotional books, including Awaken My Heart, To Follow in His Footsteps, The Week That Changed the World, or Empowered ebook. Visit supportdf.org today to give, and we'll send you your selected devotional as a thank you. Again, that's support, the letter D, the letter F.org. Find a link to give in the episode notes. Don't let this year be Lent as usual. Step into this season with purpose and help keep the Daily Article podcast going strong for you and others. Thank you for your generosity.